Purdue's offense, how much different are they with Appleby at quarterback?
They've been more efficient in the throwing game, so and also he has scrambled for a couple of really big plays in games and scored. So with him back here, I think they're more dimensional, run and pass wise. Both have been much more efficient since he's taken over quarterback.
The last couple of games, their offense has kind of come out of nowhere. Why is that, do you think, Tracy?
It's all about making plays in the quarterback. I mean, I think the quarterback has made some big plays for him, and they have two very skilled running backs that have been able to get in space. So, but the biggest difference is that they're a lot more. They're not as predictable with this quarterback in there because he extends a lot of plays with his legs, makes a lot of plays. He's a true running threat, and he throws the ball pretty good.
They should be a little frustrated. They had a couple 16-play drives on Saturday, not being able to get off the field.
You know, here's the thing: is that I was frustrated in the fact that we had a chance to each drive we had a chance to get out of and finish in plays. You know, and Cameron could have fell on the fumble. We dropped a couple interceptions. The roughing the passer, which they're going to call that every time. That's the way that went down, and so I'm not complaining about the call, but each drive we had a chance to get out of it. Now as a defensive coordinator in today's football, I look at it. I never look at yardage, and people are going to go, that's because there's so much free yardage in no huddle offenses. They hurry up and they get lined up before you're lined up sometimes. Hell, they're lined up and snapping the ball where the chains are, So they throw it out and they get 7-8 yards throwing the ball, and you just go, let's get lined up on the next one. So there's so much free yardage. It still all comes down to points. And, that's as well as we've defended them. It's the least amount of points since we've been here we give to them, and they're a good offense. And so to hold a good no-huddle offense to 17 points is good. But, you go back and look at the film, there's a chance to hold them under 10 if we make a few plays or complete a few plays on the field. So we did leave some plays that could have been made.
On that note, where do you feel you stand third down wise in terms of?
I think we're about. This is probably the math side of me coming out, but I think we're like 5 or 6% off of where we'd like to be. I think we're somewhere around 38%, and you'd like to be. You win 2 out of every 3. Which is right around 33%. You want them to be successful 33% of the time, and I think they're right at 38, somewhere in there. So we could play better, on third downs. There's no question the last game, but we had an opportunity to, I think, and didn't. But I tell the kids all the time, offense is practice too, and the good thing about it is at one time here, is that 17 points, I probably could have run for mayor, And now everybody's like, well, you're frustrated and da-da-da. I really, yeah, we left a few points on the field, but at the same time, I talked about before, I pay attention to 2 stats when the game's over, and that is really 3. One is big plays, which we only allowed in 1 play, I think, over 20 yards on Saturday. The other one is third downs, which we could have played a little better, but the ultimate stat still on defensive football is how many points you give up. And 17 points, that's our goal. Hold everybody to 17 points or less. That's extremely tough. Realistic one, we think if we hold people around 24, you're going to have a chance to win the ball game at the end of the game usually. So that's where we're at on it.
How good could this defense be?
It's for the teams we play and the way we're built, I think we have a chance to like say, obviously in today's game, I don't like to rely on turnovers. For one, your bad defense, you get turnovers and things. So I'm pleased with the turnovers. So we're playing pretty good defense, plus we're getting the turnovers. It's not like the turnovers are always bailing us out. And if we continue to play good defense and get the turnovers, I think we can be really good by the end of the year for the teams that we play against. Now, because we're built for a lot of those teams. The difficult ones again and things is like you play Ohio State and you play Wisconsin and even the Iowa game, Nebraska. We haven't played very many teams that's come downhill at us yet. It's been a lot of spread teams, and so that'll be the how well we play will end up in how well we play those teams.
You
adjusted that 17-point goal over the years as sort of offenses have?
It's been 17 points for, is that, coach, we have a meeting, everybody's like, oh, but we tell our kids all the time, the goals that we have, like the 17, if you hold a team to 17 points or less, you do that all year, you're going to be close to top 10 defense in the country, at least in the top 15. If you hold them to 24 points, you're going to be somewhere around 25 to 30, which isn't bad, but I still believe in the old idea it's better to over-demand than under-demand. I think you get better results.
The defense that you had where you would rather teams spread you out is almost, you'll hear the opposite.
Now, that's what's changed in all of football. It used to be I just assumed they cram everybody in a telephone booth and let's run it downhill and make tackles in the box, and hey, if they complete a play-action pass over the top every now and then, I used to hate going against no huddle, spread it, throw it all over. And now you see the no huddle, spread it, throw it all over all the time. We practice it all the time. We don't huddle. And so now it's the two backs, and they add a gap on you, with the fullback or pulling lineman. You just don't get a lot of work against that anymore. And so that's why I think people are having trouble with Iowa this year. Iowa's doing a good job on offense. They're scoring some more points. And the teams that stick with that and are able to stay good at it are going to create problems for people.
Because you have more depth in the secondary, you have more better players there now.
Yeah, but that's because of the spread and the way the game's going. Yeah, if we were playing more two-back, two tight ends like Iowa and that all the time, we would recruit a lot more linebackers and probably a little thicker kids, than what we are. But with the way the game's going now, you have to be able to make plays in space,
You had a high praise from Mitch, even when he was kind of running the scout team a little bit, and kind of knew that he was going to be.
Yep. He never really, he never lost his cool. When you're the scout team quarterback your first year, you get pushed around a little bit when you run the huddle. D linemen come in and shove you, and I don't know how many times Mitch would take the ball and put it back in their face and, and get right after him. So very competitive kid and loves the game of football and did a great job with the scout team, which isn't always, the best of the best and could always move the ball. And so the more he goes, the more comfortable he gets. I just look forward to him to continue to get better and better all the time.
Tracy, if you watched the Wisconsin-Northwestern game and your game, it seemed like the difference was tackling, or one of the differences. What makes you guys good tacklers?
I think that you can make a kid a better tackler, and we do some tackling drills, okay? But this is my opinion, not everybody will agree with it, is that if a kid's not a very good tackler in high school, he's not going to be a very good tackler in college. Not that you can't make him a little better, but recruiting a good athlete who can tackle is a lot funner than trying to teach somebody how to tackle. So that's basically been our belief. If a kid misses a lot of tackles on video in high school, and that's why we just don't watch highlight tapes. We watch the whole game, because you get a highlight tape, that's all you're going to see is that kid making tackles. And that if they don't tackle very well in high school, they're probably not going to tackle very well in college. And so I think a lot of that has to do with just good players and good recruiting. Like I said, not that we don't do tackling drills, but not a lot. Just get better athletes.
We have time for about two more.
Coach said he was impressed with Purdue's offensive line. How do you think your D-line with the youth is going to hold up?
It'll be a little bit of a challenge because they are bigger, and they play with the chip on their shoulder. They really do. They move people and they get after you for 4 quarters. So it'll be a good challenge for us up front. It's probably the last. Well, I think they are better than the last 2 teams we played offensively in the Big Ten as far as their offensive line goes. So it'll be a challenge for us up front to keep our pads down and not give up movement, because the backs are good. You give the backs a very big crease, very much space, they do a great job.
Where have you seen the improvement from Jalen from last year to this year?
One is just his game, preparation, and we could still get better. What I like about Jalen is we'll go out and practice today, and he'll cover who he's supposed to, and he'll miss some assignment here or there. But boy, as the game gets closer, he gets a lot more locked in, a lot more focused, and but he enjoys he enjoys practice, and last year, would have been his focus, and you could still say that. We talked about it a little bit on Tuesdays. He could do a little bit better job mentally getting ready to go, but by the time you get to Thursday, he's got it figured out, and he likes to play. He likes to play the game, and we get to Thursday, he won't have very many mistakes at all, and then Saturday, he's a whole different kid when it comes to game day.
Did he start at safety with you guys?
He's always been at corner, for us. So Jalen's problem, is that we had 2 or 3 of the things, the frustrating things, go back to earlier, is that there's 3 downs on there where I guess we weren't used to being back to a no huddle. We thought we were playing Michigan again. There's still a huddle because we made some big plays, and all of a sudden, they're turning around trying to ramp the crowd up, and Northwestern's ready to snap the ball, and so we screwed up on some communication things there, whether it's loud because of the noise of the crowd, or, we lost that focus, and that's one thing. You play a no huddle team, you got to be ready to go, and that caused a couple of our mistakes, is having a little bit too much fun in between the snaps, and worrying about the crowd, and he was one of them. So, and like I say, he's enjoying the game and playing hard and having fun, but huddle team is you don't really get to celebrate till you get to the sidelines, and he'd forgot that from the Michigan game.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Coach, we've talked a lot about how Mitch might feel more comfortable right now. Do you think that Chandler Harnish, him just kind of like being around him, mentoring him a little bit, has helped with that?
Yeah, I don't think it hurt, that's for sure. What impressed me about Chandler being around was I hadn't had a chance to talk to him for a while, and to be able to sit down and talk with him and see how his experiences have matured him, and I think that was rubbing off. There's such a confidence with that kid that I think when he's around our other quarterbacks and really around the team, I think there's a very good positive influence, and so I definitely don't think it hurts when he's around and interacting with our guys for sure.
And going forward here, what do you see as Connor's role on the offensive line? Do you see him getting more into that rotation?
Yeah, we played him with the idea that he's gonna continue to get reps. We know that we're heading in. We're at the halfway point, and I'm not going to say it only gets tougher, because I don't want to disrespect the other teams we play, but it definitely doesn't get any easier. And we're banged up. He's a kid that we felt like could help us, so we're going to continue to escalate that development and keep bringing him along and continue to get him reps.
It's still a tough decision this late in the season.
Oh yeah, it's never easy, and it's never done just on a whim or just kind of a whim or fancy type of thing. It's something that there's a lot of thought put in. There's a lot of discussion. We felt like, particularly Coach Kill and I, when we talked about it, and ultimately Coach Kill makes that final decision, but we felt like it was the time to get him going.
Has he been about what you thought he'd be, Matt, or has he even exceeded what you thought he might be to this point?
He's actually exceeded what I thought he might be. Being a kid coming from a smaller level school, didn't know exactly what we were going to get. We knew the physical part, but just the technique and the mentality and the mind frame. And he's been great, very, very coachable kid. And I think that's what's allowed us to feel comfortable with getting him to this point and getting him in the game. And you're going to see more and more of him, because he was able to kind of get that one out of the way, and was laughing and joking about it on Sunday, and he's ready to move forward.
Matt, was that more play action than normal on Saturday?
More than normal. Yeah, probably. I think that's a tough question. I think that if you've kind of been around, we're a take what they give you type of group, and felt like that was something that the play actions that we ran on Saturday was stuff that we were going to get. So we knew we had it, so we knew we wanted to throw it, I guess. So I guess in that sense, it was more than normal, because we knew what they were going to give us.
On that, will that loosen stuff up in theory for Cobb?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it plays off each other in a big way. We're at the point, and we try and do this all the time, but it doesn't always work out, is, there's things that we feel very good about in the run game that, for whatever reason, whether protection or or the way they're playing in the secondary, sometimes, you know, you would think, oh, it's obvious. You run this play, and then you have a play action off of it and all as well. Sometimes it doesn't quite fit, and you would think it would, but it doesn't. And one of the big things that we try and make sure we do all the time is one thing we don't do is we go, well, let's just roll the dice and see what happens. You know, we want to, as much as we can, we want to make sure that people are blocked, want to make sure that things are in place. We're not big roll the dice and put people in peril just because they may or may not do something. And so a lot of times it doesn't quite match up, but we knew running the play actions we did, and we knew that that was a good matchup protection-wise, what we were running in the game, and then route-wise what we were able to get. And that's why we were able to hit that a little bit more even on some of the third downs.
Matt, when you and Jerry first got together and put together an offense, what were some of those factors and influences in saying this is the way we want to play?
Well, I think it goes way back to, you know, even before I started working with him. You know, Coach has always been you know, a clock management, ball control, stay away from the big mistakes, the big turnovers. Back in his days, with split back veer option when he was at Pittsburgh State and Saginaw Valley State. And then when I joined him, I had more of the pro style, you know, background, throwing the ball more and those things. But as we've been together, looking at what we can do, you know, with the personnel we have, and then who we want to be, that's kind of how that thing's morphed. And it's bigger than just sitting in a room all by yourself and saying, okay, what do we want to be offensively? I think that's a really good quality that Coach Kill has is that he makes sure it's all brought together. He doesn't want us going off in one direction at the expense of the bigger picture for the team. And that's always a factor with us, and we bring it back into that is, you know, we want to play good team football. We don't want to be that team we were at TCU, turning the ball over 4 or 5 times, putting our defense on, you know, with their backs up against the goal line over and over again. And we saw the results of that. So, you know, that's a big foundation point for us as far as moving forward offensively.
What's the general, defensively, apparently the number is 17 points or less, and they feel like they haven't done a good job. What's the target number on offense?
18. You know, we'd like to score in the 30s, but, you know, one of the interesting things is you know, you know, we're not doing that, and we need to, and we're constantly working on improving and finding ways to do that. But, you know, we talk in the 27, 28-point range. It gives us a little bit of leeway on both sides. Maybe if the defense, you know, if it gets overshot by something or we get a little bit under, then you're talking in that 24-point range one way or the other. And so, you know, we try and score. We want to score 4 offensive touchdowns every ball game. And, you know, one of the things we've talked about is you know, obviously it's every week we're working on trying to find ways to get big plays and create some of those big plays. So.
Can you talk about Mitch Leitner's development from where he was to where he is now, and maybe where you think he can be by the end of the season?
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest things that helped Mitch was not playing in the San Jose State game, because I think sometimes when, you know, there was a lot of pressure put on that kid, and I think he kind of took it even more as far as that whole weight of the world on his shoulders. And I think with him not being able to play in the San Jose State game and we still won the game, I think there was kind of an aha moment like, okay, I don't have to do this all myself, because he literally was like a different young man when we went to Michigan, as far as just how he was on game day and how he was in the huddle and his demeanor game day and the enjoyment of it, and he was out there having fun, and that carried over to last week. And then there was that confidence, and, you know, we felt excited for him when we'd call pass plays, because we knew this was stuff that he felt good about and was feeling good and confident. So we've seen that. Now our job is, we're just in there today saying, okay, what can we continue to do with what Purdue's going to give us that can continue to keep him in that good frame of mind and in that good zone, so to speak.
Knowing what he's been through this year, how did it feel just watching those corner post routes that he was throwing?
Oh, it was fun. You know, I mean, it was fun because there was a tremendous amount of confidence in calling those, because you could just see from the very first time he dropped back and threw it that, hey, he's feeling it. You know, he's feeling good. And you know, as being in this as long as I have now, all the way through, you can sometimes tell, you know, when a guy's not quite sure or he's pressing or what have you, and you didn't see that from Mitch. So that was exciting to see, and then that also makes things a little easier calling the game and being able to figure out, okay, let's set this up a couple plays ahead and those kinds of things, knowing you want to get back to that stuff.
The big one to Max, was that a new route for him? Was that a new wrinkle?
You know what? Yes and no. We just try and find different ways. It actually was the same type of route that we hit him on against Penn State last year when we took it to the field. Just happened to work it into the bound. Oh, are you talking about the one in the middle? Yeah, all that was that was the same screen we threw against Michigan to David. It was the same thing. We just brought him in as always a lead blocker, swung David, and dumped it to him. So it was pretty easy for the guys up front. It's instead of Tiger and Bengal, which we call to David, we call it H Tiger or H Bengal to Max, and so we find different ways. And now it's a different weapon in the screen game that we can hit. So I'm sorry, I was thinking about the wheel that we threw to him. So that was the one that that's one that we threw that was a compliment off of, in the same family as what we did against Penn State last year to the field and scored with them. So.
We'll take one more question.
What does it mean for a guy like Isaac to have an impact? Because I know you have younger receivers who they're still trying to figure it out, but for him, it's kind of this is last go around.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I couldn't be more happy for him because he's a young man that it isn't easy sometimes being a senior wide receiver, not being a guy that's getting many balls per se, to hang in there and not only kind of go through the motions or just be there, but, it was Thursday and he was a guy in the huddle. We were lagging a little bit doing some things, and he was the one that was getting after guys. Hey, we need to pick up the intensity. This isn't good enough. And I'm really, really happy that he was able to have some success because he's a kid that stayed in at 100%, hadn't gone the other way, and really a young man who deserves that and more, and very happy for him. That was a nice sidelight to the day for sure.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Coach.
All righty.